Akkadian civilization. This Akkadian civilization began with tribes with Semitic origins who immigrated from the western region of the crescent moon to Upper and Middle Mesopotamia. Although less developed than the Sumerians, these nomadic peoples slowly built city-states like the peoples of Mesopotamia. Below. In about 2400 BC, one of these Semitic tribal leaders, later known as Sargon I, formed the unitary city-state that existed in Upper Mesopotamia. Sargon I then succeeded in expanding his territory as far as Lower Mesopotamia by subjugating the Sumerians, and forcing them to submit to his rule. This event marked the beginning of the gradual assimilation between the Sumerians and the Semites. After this conquest, the first unification of Mesopotamia, which later became known as the Akkadian Empire. So, the descendants of the Semitic peoples who first came to the southern region of Mesopotamia were the Akkadian tribes. The founder of the Akkadian dynasty was Sargon I. Sargon I's achievement was to be able to seize the Sumerian kingdom, which was unified by Lugal-Zarghezi. Sargon I began his career as ruler of Kish, who later went out to build his own town in Agade. One. The success of the kingdom. Sargon I's success in seizing a kingdom ruled by Lugal-Zarghezi was not the first time a Semitic-speaking ruler had recorded history. The Semitic-speaking Byblos, 600 to 700 before Sargon I's time, were the first to establish trade and cultural relations with Egypt during this period. Pharaoh. However, the Akkadian Empire during Sargon I was the first major power. Akkadia during Sargon I, with its capital at Agade, straddled the Tigris and Euphrates rivers flowing from Sumer, and stretched northwest as far as the borders of the isthmus. Sargon I of Agade reigned from about 2371–2316 BC, and the dynasty he founded lasted until about 2230 BC. In its greatness, the kingdom that Sargon I founded is comparable to the ancient kingdom of Pharaoh's Egyptian history. Agade as the capital of the Akkadian Empire was located outside the confines of northwestern Sumer. The Akkadians were semi-barbarian smugglers, and Sargon I and his descendants, like his predecessor, Lugal-Zarghezi, were men of war. Sargon I himself is reported to have led an expedition to Eastern Asia Minor in response to the assistance to be provided by a merchant settlement. Sargon I's extraordinary move is legendary. 2. The Akkadian economy. The economy of the Akkadian Empire was based on the agricultural sector. There were two main centers of agriculture in Akkadia, namely the southern area which used irrigation systems and the northern area, precisely in the upper area, which used a seasonal rainy agricultural system. Akkadian language and culture. Judging from the civilization that they had founded, it was actually just an adoption of the civilization that had existed. It is said that Akkadia adopted Sumerian civilization almost in block, including writing and even culture. Counting numbers, scales, distances and others, even the Akkadians were able to make tools from copper and assemble war vehicles. In the 3rd millennium BC, a close cultural symbiosis developed between the Sumerians and the Semitic Akkadians, which included the spread of bilingualism. Akkadian gradually replaced Sumerian as the primary spoken language at the turn of the 3rd and 2nd millennium BC. Akkadian is written in Sumerian, although the letters seem awkward to express a language from the Semitic family, because the root of a Semitic word is not a sequence of syllables but a series of 3 consonants. Three. Religion and beliefs of the Akkadians. The Akkadians were polytheists worshipping many gods. The religion of the Akkadians is the same as that of the Sumerians. Due to the integration between the Akkadian and Sumerian people, most of the Akkadian gods were Sumerian gods who were subtly disguised by Semitic names. But there are different, Dewey Najrasu and Ishtar, goddess Venus. Akkadians also worship fire. They considered it the main source of life and goodness. The Sumerian civilization had developed a prominent feature in the field of religion when the Akkadians took over it. That trait was religious obedience. This obedience was vividly expressed in the small statues of gods, which are the main genre of Sumerian art. Four. The Great Age of the Akkadians. The Akkadian Empire reached its peak between the 24th and 22nd centuries BC following the conquests by its founder, Sargon of Akkad, 2334–2279 BC. Under Sargon and his successors, the Akkadian language briefly conquered the area between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers around 2300 BC. Then the Akkadians spoke Semitic languages to the conquered territories. Akkadian legend. According to Sumer's story, he was the son of a poor boy, probably the result of a relationship between a gardener and an Akkadian high priest. His mother threw him in a reed basket and threw him into the river. Sargon was finally saved and then raised in the king's palace. As an adult, Sargon founded a new city called Akkad and became its king. He then conquered one by one the surrounding areas. In the end, he succeeded in establishing the first empire in the world, namely the Akkad Empire. Sargon also brought a new idea that the king should be succeeded by his son. He also helped unify his empire by making his daughter Enheduanna the high priestess for life of the moon god Nanna in Yor and high priestess of the sky god An in Uruk. He wrote 2 lengthy hymns stating that the Sargon Empire was destined to unite. He was the first writer in the world whose name we know. Sargon's sons succeeded him as king of Akkad after he died. However, they were killed, so Sargon's grandson Naaman Sin ascended the throne. He reigned for 56 years and succeeded in controlling all of Southwest Asia. The Akkadian Empire stretched from Lebanon to the Mediterranean coast north to Turkey and south to the Persian Gulf. The end of the Akkadian Empire. Around 2230 BC, the dynasty of Sargon I was overthrown by the barbarian Gutian mountain people from the northeast. From 2130–2120 BC, both the Sumerian and Akkadian territories were under Gutian rule. During this period of Gutian rule, the Semitic-speaking Amorites entered Akkadia from the southwest and later founded the Babylonian Empire. The Gutians, who were previously hated by the Sumerian and Akkadian people, were eventually killed and expelled by the Amorites. Meanwhile, the Amorites played a leadership role in the next phase. That is a brief history of the Akkadian Empire. Hope it is useful. Thank you.